A very good morning to all of you class 6. Welcome back to English class. Today we will complete I will complete the explanation of the story Taro's Reward. But before we do that, let us do a little recall or a revision of what we learned in the last class. In the last class, I started the lesson Taro's Reward. It is a Japanese folk tale, and we learn about a woodcutter who lives with his old aged parents. Then the objective of this lesson is to instill good qualities like hard work, respect, obedience, and love for parents in children, and also encourage good morale like to be honest, to be humble. These are the objective of the story Taro's Reward. These are the things we can learn. In the last class, I explained from paragraph 1 till 6. This lesson has 13 paragraphs, so I have explained 1 till 6. Now let me do let us recall what do we learn in the first 6 paragraphs. Taro is a young woodcutter living with his old aged parents. He works very hard to provide everything to his parents by cutting wood and selling them in the market. He works very, very hard. He is very loving. He loves his parents. He is very obedient. But no matter how much he works, he does not earn enough. He doesn't earn much. So this makes little difficult for him to provide all the comfort to his old parents. Then one day during winter, when there was a cold wind blowing outside and there were cracks on the walls of their doors and walls of their hut, cold breeze entered through the cracks, and it made his Taro's father very cold. Then his father showed desire to have a cup of sake to warm his old cold bones. Sake is a Japanese drink. So this makes Taro very sad because sake is a very expensive drink. And then he decides to work even harder to fulfill his father's wishes. And then from next day onwards, he wakes up little more early and he goes to the forest and start chopping wood, and he works very, very hard. Then he suddenly starts feeling very warm, and he feels thirsty, and he hears a sound of waterfall. So he goes in search of that waterfall, and he finds a waterfall behind a rock. And since he is very thirsty, when he takes a cup full of water, he realizes that it is not water, but it is actually a delicious sake flowing. So this is what we learn in the from paragraph 1 till 6. So today we will continue and we will read the remaining story. All right. This was the end of paragraph 6. He tasted it again and again, and always it was a delicious sake instead of cold water. Let us read paragraph 7. Taro quickly filled the pitcher he had with him and hurried home. The old man was delighted with sake. After only one swallow of the liquid, he stopped shivering and did a little dance in the middle of the floor. So what did he do? Taro he filled his pitcher. Pitcher is this, do you see this mud vessel? This is a pitcher. This is called a pitcher. It is made by potters. The old man he filled the pitcher, and he hurried home to give the drink to his father. The old man was delighted. Who is the old man? Taro's father. Delighted means to be very happy. After only one swallow means one gulp of a drink, he stopped shivering. Shivering would be to he was trembling with cold, right? His body was shaking with cold. Stop shivering, so his body stopped trembling with cold, and he did a little dance in the middle of the floor. So he is very delighted, he's very happy. That afternoon, a neighbor stopped by for a visit. Taro's father politely offered her a cup of the sake. The lady drank it greedily and thanked the old man. Then Taro told her the story of the magic waterfall. Thanking them for the delicious drink, she left in a hurry. By nightfall, she had spread the story throughout the village. Children, in this particular lines, we see that how simple Taro and his father were. They did not. Taro did not keep the secret. The secret of the waterfall to himself. He wanted others also to share, right? So he very very honestly he shared the story. She told Taro's father told her neighbor where did they find such a delicious drink, and then Taro told her the story of the magic waterfall, right? But now by nightfall, that means nightfall means when the night starts. Then by nightfall, she had spread the story of magic waterfall throughout the village. That evening, there was a long procession of visitors to the woodcutter's house. Processions means a lot of gathering of people. So there was a long procession of people visitors to the woodcutter's house. So once they heard about the story of the magic waterfall and the delicious sake, people started visiting Taro's house. Each man heard the story of the waterfall and took a sip of the sake. In less than an hour, the pitcher was empty. So Taro and his father shared the pitcher of sake with the whole village, and everybody came to visit them and to have a taste of the delicious sake. Next morning, Taro started for work even earlier than the morning before. He carried with him the largest pitcher he owned, for he intended first of all to go to the waterfall. When he reached, he found to his great surprise all his neighbors there. They were carrying pitchers, jars, buckets, anything they could find to hold the magic sake. Then one villager knelt and held his mouth under the waterfall to drink. He drank again and again and then shouted angrily, "Water! Nothing but water!" Others also tried, but there was no sake, only cold water. So next morning, what do we see here? Next morning, when Taro goes to visit the waterfall again with a bigger pitcher, because he wanted to carry more sake for his father, then he saw all his neighbors are there, and they are carrying big pitchers, jars and buckets, anything in which they can carry the magic sake. Then one of the villagers knelt down and he tasted the sake, but it turned out to be cold water, and he got very angry. He said that it's water, nothing but water. Everybody tried, and there was no sake, only cold water. Look at the picture. See, so many villagers have turned up, and Taro is hiding behind because he got scared and he's hiding behind. Look at the number of buckets and the jars and pitchers they are carrying. "We have been tricked," shouted the villagers. "Where is Taro? Let us drown him in this waterfall." But Taro had been wise enough to slip behind a rock when he saw how things were going. He was nowhere to be found. So what do we see here? We see that Taro was quite wise enough to hide behind. Now Taro, when he realized the commotion, the gathering and people getting angry, he hid behind a rock, because people have the villagers says that we have been tricked. That means we have been deceived. Trick means that we have been made fool. Okay, so they said, "Where is Taro? Let us drown him in this waterfall." Okay, Muttering their anger and disappointment, the villagers left the place one by one. Taro came out from his hiding place. Was it true? He wondered. Was the sake a dream? Once more he caught a little liquid in his hand and put it to his lips. It was the same fine sake. To the thoughtful son, the magic waterfall gave delicious sake. To everyone else, it gave only cold water. So, what do we say in the 12th paragraph is muttering their anger and disappointment. Muttering means speaking unclearly. They were not speaking clearly. They were muttering something in their words. Their words were not clear, but they were angry and disappointment, and the disappointed, and the villagers left the place one by one. Taro came out of his hiding place, and he was also surprised, and he was thinking, was it my dream, or that was it my dream that the magic waterfall, was it a dream? So he went and took a handful and he tasted the water, but it turns out to be a same delicious sake. So what do we see here is that in this story, the sake was not a dream. It was to a dutiful and thoughtful son, the magic waterfall gave delicious sake, but to everyone else they gave cold water, because Taro was dutiful and he was poor, and he wanted to do something. He wanted to provide his old grandfather with sake to warm his body, right? And he could not afford it, but the rest of the villagers, many could afford it, many had the money, but they came here in greed. So magic waterfall did not give them sake. So for greedy villagers, it was a plain cold water, but for dutiful son who could not afford to buy sake, the magic waterfall gave delicious drink. The story of Taro and his magic waterfall reached the Emperor of Japan. He sent for the young woodcutter and rewarded him with 20 pieces of gold for having been so good and kind. Then he named the most beautiful fountain in the city after Taro. This, said the emperor, was to encourage all children to honor and obey their parents. Isn't it lovely? So the story of Taro reached the Emperor of Japan, and he rewarded him with 20 pieces of gold for being having been very good and kind, and for being a dutiful son. And he also named the most beautiful fountain in the city after Taro. And emperor said that this was done, Taro was rewarded, and the beautiful fountain was named after him, so that children are encouraged to honor and obey their parents. So children, always remember to love, honor and obey your parents. So I hope you all have understood the story, and in the next class we will discuss the question answers. Thank you.